So if you're a pop punk lover who's living in China, then it must be tough here because, as far as I'm concerned, China has basically the least popularity of this genre. I mean, there are even more people who care about metalcore, a genre which reached the peak at approximately the same time as pop punk in the United States or UK or Australia or other parts in the world. Yeah, I get it. Some people may argue me that Green Day has an enormous audience in China and Sum 41 just ran some China gigs not long ago. I get your points, folks, but that's because those bands are the tops of not only within the punk realm, but also, the whole rock and roll category in the world. Somehow, the majority of Chinese audience just stay in that level. You know what I'm trying to say? They have no notion of new bands right now. Those of the pace forwards right now, like the Story So Far, State Champs and stuff. And the bands I mentioned just now are not even really new bands. They have been making waves like even 10 years ago, and don't even mention Neck Deep to me. Just try to have Neck Deep in China for tour, and how many tickets? How many do you think they're gonna be sold, huh? I can guarantee that a large number of the Chinese listeners who got into this band because of Counter-Strike would not purchase a ticket and even care about how is the band going for the moment. Okay, I think I just talked too much outside today's topic, so let's be back on the track. However, there is a Chinese pop punk band that enjoys a high reputation and it has a fan base of more than 100,000 people in China. Maybe. The band is called Gentle Grape, and I think a large number of that owes to their appearance in the Chinese variety show that is about bands. Yeah, back a few years ago, if I remember right. I listened to some of the songs and an album like maybe 5 years ago, and at that time I did consider like making genuine music, and the songs are not bad actually. So, but probably it's because the music they put out after that didn't catch my attention anymore. So the band just gradually just faded out from my playlist. And just a few days ago, a friend of mine sent me the links of some of the new songs taken from their new album, and asked me what I think of it. Then I knew something bad must happen, because usually when people send me songs and saying things like, "What do you think of it?" rather than "This one's awesome" or "This one's fucking blast," things like that, then they must be having an opinion about the music. So I checked the songs he sent me, and out of a sudden I knew what was the problem. And I listened to the whole album and I knew there are some issues in it. Okay, so let me explain all of those to you. Firstly, the first song of the album, let's take a look.
9岁的我站在橱窗的前面，蓝色木吉他在对我说话，可不可以带我回家？无聊的书摊，我等到了他，幻想带他浪迹天涯。红色的头发，我唱到沙哑，原来我已经长大。我的28就像行走的笑话，远走高飞，乘着我的执迷不悔。明天我将成为谁？绚丽绽放或是枯萎，我不后悔。为了我愚蠢的纯粹，我的梦想已破碎，干杯为昨日的伤悲。
Okay, if you're an average pop punk listener, you will know what just happened. It sounds just too similar to that all-time classic banger from Simple Flame, I Do Anything. If you don't believe it, let's have an ear on another song.
Another day is going by, I'm thinking about you all the time, but you're out there and I'm here waiting. And I wrote this letter in my head, cause so many things were left unsaid, but now you're gone and I can't think straight.
See, maybe they change a bit of the melody or how they play guitar on certain sections, but it still is highly consistent with I Do Anything. That's not over yet. Let me show track 3 on this album. You know what happens, you know and I know. The drum kicks in and there goes the deja vu. Okay, this is just too evident. Summertime by My Chemical Romance. Those drum leads are the same, and that is actually not a big deal because, if to be very fair, it might be they're paying a tribute to My Chem, but somehow they use the same palm muting technique and crafted a similar vibe using an acoustic guitar and a similar soothing melody in the intro. I think they're just coincidence, you know. Wait for it, there's more.
却得到实现，繁华大街，每个人都不屑。这座城市我和狗都被讨厌。滥情的女互相透露真心，套路真心气上瘾的所谓爱情，老板领导外人教育着你，北京八点全部都是为你。左边狗边右边残喘，我的世界可是晴天。糟糕，正面复制粘贴，理想实现被现实却熄灭。美好闪亮流落火焰，虚伪蔓延，遍布每条大街。出戏中只对每个谎言，刻画在这美好的一天。
Holy shit, I don't think I need to address it to those who know pop punk very well, but I still gotta explain to you in the video, so check this on my Bowling for Soup. So they are, if not 100%, then 95% the same song. I don't get it. I just don't get it. It is hard for an average listener like me to not have suspicion. And that's not finished yet, so let's check this one last song to which I'm gonna show you.
跳下还是提高，无法改变结局的轨道，一切只是我的徒劳。给我一颗爱的毒药，让我继续和魔鬼舞蹈。我学不会下跪求饶，也许我已无可救药。
So initially, I thought it might sound like some of the Blink-182 song from the early 2000s, but then I think again, it is even more up to date. Yup, it's Machine Gun Kelly, and you guys may know that I don't really like his music after he has stepped into pop punk, but this one is probably one of the few good songs of his to me, so I can remember how it goes. And there are actually more of this kind of similarity in the album. For example, track 6 is pretty much Minority by Green Day, with the similar tone and parts of the arrangement are almost equivalent. So after I actually listened to this album from head to toe, I just want to say that it is beyond common for songs to sound similar, and especially within the pop punk genre where the overall sound of it is just identical, and it is not hard to make a standard pop punk song with some random major chords that bonded together sound joyful. But to make it better and of high quality takes time and creativity, of course. So that's totally normal if one song you hear sounds much of a matchness to another one you've already heard before. And I don't want to say these guys are ripping off or plagiarizing from others. I've never confirmed a statement in this video, I did not. So, because that's an accusation, and to make an accusation requires sufficient evidence. You know, just by saying things like, I think these two sound the same, is not enough to be called a proof. And I do kind of appreciate some of their songs from the past. If you don't believe it, FYI, I've been following them for almost 3 years on this Chinese streaming platform. That arose a question as well. This album was released in January, but until this moment, it has not been on any major platform like a Spotify or Apple Music and stuff. I wonder why. So in general, I made this video from an average listener's point of view, that's all. And not just me, I saw another video that maybe try to convey the same idea as mine. If the bands can somehow assist this bit, I hopefully can just explain something. Yeah.